Welcome back to Screen Sleuths. I'm Chris, and with the teaser trailer behind us and Season 3's release hopefully on the horizon, we are going to explore some predictions for the upcoming season. So grab your lunchbox because we're jumping right into it, and we're starting with Tabitha. So Tabitha wrapped up Season 2 with a bang, or maybe a crash, I guess, but her story arc lends itself to the most speculation. When we last saw her, she had gone to the bottle tree with Victor, where we learned the fate of Victor's mother, Miranda, who was found dead by Victor before ever making it into the bottle tree. But before Tabitha goes through the tree, Victor gives her his prized possession, his lunchbox. And in it, the drawing of Sleeping Julie that Victor made earlier in the show, which is being used to wrap up something, maybe stale snacks. Now fast forward, and Tabitha is being pushed out of the lighthouse by the boy in white and wakes up in St. Anthony's Hospital. She looks out the window and realizes she might have actually escaped the town. Okay, before we go into any theorizing about where her story might go in Season 3, I want to point out a few potential clues for anyone that might be new to the Fromverse. So her hospital room number adds up to 47, which we know has come up throughout the show in one form or another. Outside of her door is a sign that says Level 2, which may be implying this is just another level of the town, and which could tie into some of the game theories that are currently out there. The name of the hospital itself is St. Anthony's, who is the patron saint of the lost and found, and her window to me looks like it's much higher than Level 2, so maybe that sign is a deception in itself. But lastly, the cars that are in the street, in the road, not pulled off to the side, not parked, the ones that are in the road and should be moving, don't move at all, at least not for the few seconds that she's looking out the window. This goes for the boats that are in the harbor as well. There's no movement at all, no rocking with the waves or anything. It's like she's looking at a painting. Plus, we don't see the lunchbox that Victor gave her in the room. Now, this might not be a big deal. It might just been taken away or stored somewhere. But it's worth noting that we don't see the lunchbox, the private property of the person in the room with them. Now, if you're new to the Fromely and you haven't heard any of these things, it might be worth looking into and pondering and coming up with your own theories on if any of those are true. If you're a veteran from family member and you've been watching this show like the rest of us for a long time, you probably heard most of these and you probably have your own theories for them, which is totally fine, but it was worth bringing up for the people that might not have heard them before. Okay, now let's get into some unknown territory. I think Tabitha is going to meet or seek out Eloise in one of two scenarios, both dealing with art. And one more thing before we start, if you're wondering why I think Eloise is on the other side, it's because we see Eloise run after her mother in the flashback scene, and Victor only mentioned finding his mother's body just outside the bottle tree. So I interpret this to mean that Miranda sacrificed herself to ensure that Eloise made it through the tree. Scenario 1. Tabitha is exploring the new town and comes across a small art studio or tent or fair, where in the window or on display she sees either drawings or paintings which have the same subject matter as from the town before. Very similar to the drawings that we see in the town from Victor and Eloise as kids, but a more adult style, like they were used as inspiration from memories from before. This is where she meets an adult Eloise, who doesn't really remember everything, but the lunchbox and the drawing that Victor put inside either help jog Eloise's memory, or it convinces her that the nightmares she's been having are actually memories. Okay, scenario 2 uses the same premise, but Tabitha seeks out Eloise by looking for records of a Jane Doe child who would have come through the town in the last few decades. Eventually, she finds her in a state facility, but as an adult. She doesn't really say anything, but she is drawing or doing some kind of art therapy, and the drawings are unmistakably influenced from her time in Fromville. Tabitha again uses the lunchbox and the drawing to convince Eloise, as Eloise begins to cry and recount what happened because she knows that she's not crazy and that her brother Victor is still alive. Now, in either version of this theory, they search for a way back to try to save the rest of the residents. But little do they know, the town has already escalated a little bit out of control, as we saw in the teaser trailer. But we may see new information in adult Eloise's art that sheds light on things in the town. Or possibly even seeing someone from the present-day town population in Eloise's drawings, which would be hinting at a deception or even some reincarnation. Either scenario, I think that Tabitha meeting Eloise is going to play a big part in season 3. Now let's fly our drones over to Randall. Oh, Angry Randall. Angry Randall is another player that I think is going to play a key role in season 3. Essentially, I think Randall is going to be the new vessel for the evil in season 3. At the end of season 2, they make a point to show us that he's alone. Everybody else has someone that cares about him and is waiting for him to wake up, except him. Now, this really stresses the point that he feels isolated in town and hasn't developed any connections, which I think will be the strings that the evil pulls to help influence him. Slowly taken over, similar to a Jack Torrance character in The Shining, where the hotel plays on his emotions and anxieties and distrust and slowly creeps in until it has complete control and he unleashes on his family. Which is pretty much the same scenario that happened in Fromville when Victor was a child. Things were going fairly well as they can go in Fromville, I would assume. And then one day things just tipped and there was a massacre. We're not sure who did it or how it happened. Some people would, say it's Christopher, but we're not 100% sure. We just know that at one point the scales tipped and things went real bad. But let's get back to talking about Randall. We have to assume that while he was under the influence of the evil, he saw some pretty terrifying stuff. And it's not a far stretch to think that the evil may have made promises to Randall just like it did Sarah. But the differences between Randall and Sarah are clear, and it's obvious that Randall is the better vessel if you're looking at it from the evil's point of view. Randall's physically more imposing and capable than Sarah, and he already has the conspiracy mindset needed to be convinced to do pretty terrible things. And he has no connection to anybody in the town. So if you combine all these factors, he's incredibly dangerous for the people in the town in season 3. So to recap, I think Tabitha is going to meet with Eloise on the other side, and her art and the information represented in it is going to play a key factor. While in town, Randall will be the agent of chaos, helping the evil while descending further into madness until we are set up for a end of the season showdown. Okay, well, we're at the point in the show where I ask you for your thoughts on my theories, and I ask you to tell us yours. But if you like what we're doing, please keep liking and subscribing. It's a huge help, and it lets us know and the algorithm know that we're on the right track. So drop your comments under this video, find us on all your socials. But until next time, stay sleuthy.